What is going on, wrestling fans? Welcome to the Tapped In Indie Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Heath Mulligan, joined by my good friend, Nick McDaniel. Nick, how are you this week?
Look, I'm better today than I was over the weekend. I was a very, tough weekend look, we're going to get into it in a little bit. Look, I'm a little embarrassed. I owe some people apologies. I put some of those out there, but it is what it is. But at the same time, dude, there's a little bit of pride in it too. So let's just kind of leave it at that. We'll dive into that issue in a minute, though.
Yes. If you're wondering what we're talking about, that is why you should be a member at patreon.com/tap.pod. You can also join us on YouTube, and you would have already seen the video and known what Nick's talking about. It's not every day we cover ourselves on this show. But if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button, you hit the like on every video, you hit the notifications, hit the bell. Remember, we're just video now. Nick did a video showing you how you can take the RSS feed from Patreon to put it into all your podcast apps, but YouTube is primarily where we're living now.
Yeah, and it's funny. Grandpa Booker, I saw him over the weekend, and he was like, "Hey, are you on Spotify still?" And I'm like, "Yes." However, to be clear, it's the old feed essentially stopped. There is a new one, Tapped Out Pie. It's a newer one with that Marvel-looking logo as the kind of that's the thumbnail. You do have to jump over to that new one because it feeds straight from Patreon. So it's like Tapped Out Podcast Patreon feed. That's the one you want to sign up for going forward because it automatically does that for you. You don't have to add anything. You just got to subscribe to the new feed. That's all.
Yes. We did have a fun weekend, fun Friday night Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling, and we want to thank several of the workers there for helping us out with a brand new segment. It is Indie Wrestling's This or That. What's going on, everybody? It's Heath Mulligan. We are live here at Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling at Tannery Row Ale House in Buford, Georgia. I'm here with the longtime commentary, half of the commentary team of the year, Brandon Benefield. Brandon, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. This is awesome.
You are the guinea pig. This is a brand new segment for the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. This is called This or That. So Here we go. Rapid fire. Ooh. Texting or calling?
Texting.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
Spicy or mild food?
Spicy.
Pen or pencil?
Pen.
What kind? You got a brand? You got a certain brand?
I don't. The kind that doesn't, whatever doesn't get all over your hand.
See, I use the G7, and that is, I cannot use any other pen.
Okay.
Fiction or nonfiction?
Fiction.
YouTube or Netflix?
YouTube.
Really?
Well, I find myself going down rabbit holes more on YouTube than anything else.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
I got you. Driver or passenger?
Ooh, passenger.
Now, do you and Gerard ever ride places together?
We have before, and he's driven.
He drives. Okay, I see.
I don't mind driving, but if I had a choice.
Gotcha.
Passenger.
Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings?
Harry Potter.
Okay, I got you. Fast food or homemade?
Homemade's better, but I eat more fast food.
Math or English?
Ooh, neither. English, if I had to pick one, I guess English.
Free Friday night or Friday night at a wrestling show?
Oh, Friday night at a wrestling show. Come on.
So, as you know, folks, this guy is everywhere. Kind of tell everybody where you're at and where they can find you on social media.
Well, you can obviously find me at TCW shows. We're doing TCW shows all over the place. Just follow us on Facebook, Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling. Southern Honor Wrestling once a month up in Canton. We do the Nightmare Factory student showcases every couple of months. Where else? CEW, Coastal down there in Savannah. We do that show once a month. So, yeah, man, all over the state of Georgia. And, of course, GB's all over the place. Diana's all over the place. So, yeah, come hang out with us. Follow us on socials and come find us.
So, Brandon, thanks for being the first participant of This or That. This is Heath. We'll see you next time.
How fun was that, man?
Let me tell you, Brandon was great. He was our guinea pig. Such a good such a good dude, and just one of those people that you love to see their success. You love to see them just kind of going out and hanging out. And he was at the show Friday night. That leads us right into this week's Indy Rewind. Friday night, Buford, Georgia. We were there at Tannery Row Ale House for Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling. This has quickly become my absolute favorite place to watch a wrestling show.
Dude, I will stack the venue up again. Look, I understand people are like, well, there are venues that hold more. There's venue, blah, blah, blah. You can give me any other reason. But it is absolutely, like you said, without a doubt, one of the funnest venues for a lot of reasons. This week, look, this show will get, like I said, we're going to get into it. Show is a little rough for other reasons, which we're going to clearly lay out here in a minute. But yeah, like I'm with you, man. It's absolutely between the food, and just the environment and just the proximity of there's not a bad seat in the house. Because even the seats that are further away, they have tables. It's just a cool environment. And
even some of the tables, you're elevated, and it's just a really fun place to watch a show. They also, as you just saw in that video with Brandon, they also have lots of backstage space. You saw the video with Brandon. We were doing that with several wrestlers. However, when we were interviewing Dylan Lesson, it did not go quite as planned, and we've got some footage for you right now.
What's going on, everybody? It's Heath Mulligan from the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network, live here from Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling. I'm here with a young man who is making a name for himself all around Georgia. Dylan Lesson, how are you tonight?
I'm great, man. I'm excited for this show tonight.
It is this or that. Here we go. Coffee or tea?
Oh, coffee, 100%. Every morning.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Pizza or burgers?
That one's tough. I'm going to have to go burgers. More of a burger guy.
Let's stick with food. Pancakes or waffles?
See, I was waffles, but I've been turning more pancakes.
Pancakes or waffles? Who cares? Who are you? Get out of here, you little idiot. Get out of here.
Bro.
You're lost.
Jack Jameson.
What are you wasting your time with this guy? Who are you? You little low-T meat rider? Why don't you get out of my face right now? Where's Nick?
I don't know.
Where is he? I know he's here. He's supposed to be here.
I don't know.
Don't put your hands on me. Who do you think you are?
Oh.
You know who I am? Put your hands on me.
Kudos to Dylan for not backing down from Jack Jameson, who has had some words for us, who bought time on the other show with you and Myron last week. Obviously doesn't like us, and because we didn't get the time to get the opportunity to interview Dylan, so we were going to interview him during the show. It was going to be a segment at the show. That also was interrupted by Jack Jameson. And here's what happened next. Jack Jameson challenges him to a match. And you have to see this to believe it. I still can't believe this happened.
Yeah, this footage is, it's several minutes into the match, but it was kind of a trend that had occurred all match. And we're going to pull it up and we'll kind of talk over it a little bit. Heath, it's, look here. So, basically, as the match was progressing, you could see me telling him, because all match he's been jawing at us.
Yes.
And then now, you're sitting there, and now what's, what's up with this?
Yeah, why is he coming over to our table?
I didn't understand it because, like I said, all week he had been going back, and I'm like, look at him. He's obviously a beast. We talked about how he's on TV every week.
Yes.
But it wasn't enough. It was, we made one comment that he had lost a few matches and he just pick up some more wins and we'll talk to you about it. And it just got under his skin somehow. And so now the things he's saying to me, you're not going to believe.
Yes.
He's trying to get me in the ring. He's trying to get me in the ring. And I've told him, I'm not getting in a ring, dude. I'm not a wrestler. And then, it proceeds.
You can see I'm kind of scared.
Yeah.
Oh, there it goes.
So he spits on me. I throw the water in his face, and he turns around and takes an L to Dylan Lesson. And it goes back to, look, here's the same exact thing. And all I was saying to him, you could probably tell every time I'm pointing to the ring, and I'm like, dude, just focus on the, look, stop paying attention to us and just pay attention to your opponent. And he didn't. And it comes back to bite. Now, here's the part where I apologize. I should not have thrown the water, maybe. But
Yes,
spitting on me. Hold on. But spitting on me kind of like crossed the line of like, okay, I'm not going to stand here and let him spit on me, whatever. And as soon as I throw the water, like, hey, I realize I'm in the wrong. Security, you can tell, is like, no. So, and that's kind of why I kind of backed up. It's like, all right. It's one of those things you react, and then after the moment, you're like, okay, that was my bad.
It all happened so fast. Like, I'm not even quite sure. Like, you could kind of see me hanging back. I don't want any part of that guy. And when I saw him spit on you, I was thinking, oh my goodness, what is happening right now? Obviously you reacted to the situation, that is typically not something we would condone at a wrestling show. The bottom line is Dylan Lesson with a great win over Jack Jameson, who, if he'd have just done, he had Dylan Lesson, he had him beat.
That's entirely my point. And again, I apologize to Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling. I apologize to all of the people who put on that show. Made sure I reached out, talked to them. I had somebody talk to me, and I said, hey, listen, there was a conversation at the show. I deserved it. It was what it was. And I was like, hey, I apologize. I try to be more professional than that. Look, you guys invite us in, let us do, cover the, you're right. I'm sorry. However, it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Mr. Jameson deserved what he got, even though I get it. Shouldn't have done it, but couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Mr. Jameson. So I guess, do we repeat our story here? It sounds like a broken record. Here's the problem. We're talking about you and you lost.
Yeah, that's right.
So how about get some wins and imagine how that works out for you?
Yes, get some wins, and we will talk about you even more. And now I'm thinking, what happens next time, or are we going to have to be seated in a different? I don't know. It was definitely a tense situation. You saw me get excited when Dylan won. I was not upset about that in the least. This was not only is Tannery Row just my favorite place to watch the show. We talked about Friday night, man. These turnbuckle shows are so much fun. They feel so different than a lot of the other shows. I mean, it's like a WWE house show where there aren't as many you're not having to worry about commercials and cameras, and you can interact with the. That's
you don't
right.
Have the constraints of constraints.
It was just it was just a really, really fun, really fun show.
I want to ask you a question. This is our first tangent here. I want to ask you. Some people will go, it's a bad thing. To me, it's a massive advantage. They can do whatever they want. They're not doing quote unquote long term at the moment. Look, we've seen a couple stories kind of poke their head out a little bit, but it more was like saying, look, they're not trying to do because it can be a hindrance, and we're going to discuss this later in the show. When you start getting hey, we're booking and telling stories, okay, now you have to follow those.
Yes.
They're not handcuffed by that, because it's, hey, when you show up on Friday, these guys are going to be here. These gals the ladies are going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
We'll let you know. Sometimes there's a match announced. A lot of times there's none. And it's something you said that stuck out to me. You're like, dude, it's just when you leave, you feel like you were entertained for a few hours.
Yeah.
Didn't have to think, all that good stuff.
Right. Yeah, it's good guy, bad guy gets in there, gonna wrestle, have a fun. It's just a fun show. I want to send a shout out And this is good to see, fun to see. Don Furio, who has been wrestling in the Carolinas for several years. It was good to see him. He had a tag team match with Ryan Rembrandt against Pendragon and Michael Solar. But it's good to see Furio. We've seen him around different places here in Georgia. That's what I want to see. Some of those Carolina guys come to Georgia. I'd love to see some of these Georgia guys go up to the Carolinas. We need more of that. What were any other matches that stood out to you on this card?
Did we mention that Jack Jameson lost to Dylan Lesson?
He did.
Okay.
He did.
Okay, I want to make sure we got that, but we can go on, you know.
I also want to go on record that I'm putting Vari Morales over. He beat KJ Impala with a top rope power bomb in a very, very good match. And we were thinking about starting a new segment called Putting Vari Over. We've seen Vari wrestle. I saw him wrestle Slim J in that building, and now KJ's a pretty big dude, and to see he and Vari just have this phenomenal match, he just never disappoints, does he?
Well, it's the common denominator. Like Vari had a good match with this person. Vari had a good person. There might be a reason. They're kind of off. This is kind of Anyway, there's going to be a video coming out soon that I could not air on this episode for a multitude of reasons.
Yes,
but it will be coming out, and I think Vari will have a smile on his face when he sees it for sure.
Yes.
Let me ask you. I know one of the things you're excited about because this is one of the things Turnbuckle offers. Because I know we got to get the pedal to the metal here. They bring in Darby Allin to Buford, Georgia, for a meet and greet.
Yes. And they took their time with it. It did not feel rushed. There was a very long line. There were a lot of people there with their faces painted. There were a lot of people there that probably never heard of Turnbuckle, but they heard Darby Allin's going to be there. And to go, you and I were the last two to go through, and to see Darby Allin taking the time, talking to the kids, talking to the fans, giving them all a tremendous memory. Again, they have that completely separate area. It was just a really cool thing to see. And to see when a kid shows up to a show with his face painted, man, it's probably his favorite wrestler, and he gets to meet this person. Just a really, really cool thing.
And I do want to tip my cap. If there is a meet and greet opportunity for Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling and one of your favorites is there, go see them, because I want to reiterate, and it sounds like I'm repeating it, but I think it's well worth repeating. You're talking about that kid gets to meet Darby Allin. And again, we were the last two, and we're standing there watching, and Darby's not rushing anybody.
No.
He literally was enjoying and having a good time. And, look, I became a fan. Like, literally, that's simple. As a dad, sometimes that little thing can make me a fan, and I was just sitting there kind of going, kudos to him. Like, he could have been like, let's burn and churn them out of here, and let's get me out of here so I can go home. And I didn't feel that in the least. Even when I was cutting up with him a little bit, and I was like, dude, he could have just been like, all right, and go on. Like, there you go. So I'm a fan.
Yeah, I felt like you and I were trying to we were very sensitive of the time, and he was not rushing at all. And it was a good night. Turnbuckle typically ends the night with a multi-person tag team match, and this one was just really, really entertaining.
Can I tell you why? Brady Booker.
Yeah, that's right.
Never ceases to amaze me about how entertaining he is and how fun he's just that. I think that's why he works very much the Turnbuckle model, is because he goes in there and it's like, hey man, let's have some fun. He's trying to get everybody wild, and that's why. And it almost never ceases. It almost never fails. He's in that multi-man main typically, and so everybody goes home happy. And a lot of times, by the way, he's in there with guys like Billy Gunn, QT Marshall, blah, blah, insert anybody. And a lot of times he's still the most entertaining person in the match.
Yes.
So,
yes. So again, follow Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling on Facebook. They are everywhere. They're running lots of shows. And you're always going to be entertained. And you never know who's going to show up. So thanks to all those folks for their just for their hospitality to us, for understanding, some of the incidents that happened. But it was a good night. Also, Friday night, Action Wrestling was in Sharpsburg, Georgia. The big one here was one called Manders and Bobby Flacco. We've been talking about Bobby Flacco the last couple of weeks, who earned this shot and fell just a little bit short. But this is certainly not going to be the last we hear of Bobby Flacco in Action Wrestling and in other parts of Georgia.
yeah, no, he's look, I think he has climbed and earned his position on the ladder there in Action. And I think he's going to be a real player there for a long time to come. So I bold prediction, Bobby Flacco will hold the Action Wrestling Championship sooner than later.
I think that's a pretty safe, pretty safe bet there for Bobby Flacco. As normal, Friday night, SCA was in Royston, Georgia. It's really cool to see how much they've grown over the past year, their first year. And they announced it this coming Friday night is going to be Tower with Rick Page in his corner defending against Xander Seabolt for the SCA Heavyweight Championship. Did you ever think you'd see Xander Seabolt? He's a young man making a name for himself, but hasn't got a lot of title opportunities until this one.
Yeah, look, I mean, Tower's been running roughshod up there. Rick Page, that little weasel's, and behind him, and he's kind of pulling strings, getting involved, and that's kind of how he's maintained his position. Seabolt, I hope you get your hands on him. You got to get Rick Page out of the mix. That's your biggest problem. Get him out of the mix. You start there, and then maybe you have that chance. But to answer your original question, he's come super fast, super far. Look, he's put all the work in. Let's just go with that. He has done literally all the things he's needed to do to improve his game. He's gotten better in the ring. He's got the gear. He's got the look. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not surprised that he's earned a shot. Now, had you asked me that 6 months to a year ago, probably.
Right.
But as you progressively see him coming along, that answer would probably be, I'm not as surprised.
Yeah, he puts himself in opportunities to learn and improve, and we're seeing it pay off for him. We talked last week about the return of Jaden Bain to Royston, Georgia. He's turned his back on his fans. He attacked Luke Da Silva there Friday night. So we're not sure what's going on with Jaden Bain, not sure what's next for him, but you can find out every Friday night in Royston, Georgia. There at the Royston Dome, you can go find SCA wrestling there, Squared Circle Action Wrestling. So it was a full night Friday. Also, full night on Saturday, Bullpen Championship Wrestling down there in Ranburne, Alabama. A crowd over 350 again. We'll talk about that a little bit later. New tag team champs, Bad Company, Adam Jacobs and David Young won those tag team titles in a triple threat match. And one of the matches that I heard you and Myron talk about was Zach Buchanan. He defeated Pat Roach in a catch-style exhibition match.
Hey, listen, with Zach's background, people shouldn't be completely surprised by that, but it's still an upset, of a youngster over a veteran like Pat Roach, and I don't think that's probably going to sit well with one Pat Roach. We're probably going to see this thing rear its ugly head again down the road soon, for that matter. But yeah, I was really kudos to the kid. The kid's making a name quickly for himself, and right there at home. he's got the home field advantage. So maybe that was Pat's problem. Maybe he just picked the fight in the wrong location.
Yes, home. You don't see home court advantage a lot in wrestling, but it apparently made a big difference there Saturday night. Also, Kyle Matthews, he and Frankie Valentine starting a best of 3 series. It was Kyle Matthews getting the first, winning the first match of this one. Jacob Ashworth added to his trophy case as he won the Bullpen Pro TV Championship. He also held on to his Georgia Heritage Championship in that match against Shawn Nelson and J-Rod. And now the big question is, when's Jacob Ashworth going to defend that Bullpen Pro TV Championship again?
Do you think, because he's he's literally built this reputation on that Georgia Heritage belt, he'll defend it anywhere. Is Jacob Ashworth allowed to defend that Bullpen TV title anywhere else? I don't know, but it'll be cool to see.
Here's the question now: if he's wrestling at Bullpen, are both titles on the line? Could he lose both of them to somebody? That's a big question.
Yeah, I don't know. I would think that answer is no, but just because. But I could be wrong. It's maybe that's something we reach out to old Bull Buchanan and find out. Like, hey, does that mean when he's double champ? Does that mean his both belts are always on the line? That'll be because that would be that's a sticky situation for some other promotions.
That's right. That's right. Well, you won't go wrong, fans. Again, Bullpen Championship Wrestling, they continue to do really great things right there over the line in Alabama. GPW, Georgia Premier Wrestling, was back in business Saturday night there in Jasper, Jordan. And Trevor Blackwell been going back and forth with the GPW champion, Warden. And it was announced Saturday night, October the 19th. These two men are going to have an I Quit match for the GPW championship. If I'm a betting man, as much as I hate to say it, you have to put your money on Warden with this one, right?
Unfortunately, you probably are correct. He's such a monster. He's so big. He's so strong. He's such a beast. Here's the reason. Warden has the advantage probably when you make this case for he's bigger, he's stronger, and he's also, by the way, he's the champion, which means he's got to be beaten, not the other way around. Mm-hmm. So there's all of those things always, in my opinion, play in. And all this unfolds as because when you go back through this history here that they have it, that
yes.
In July they had the triple threat, kind of Josh it was Josh, Warden, and Trevor. Warden pins Trevor. He's the champion. Then in August he got disqualified. So this thing is not this is just slowly building. So eventually that's why it's hey, we just got to have this I Quit match, and so they put it on for the next show in October, and it's kind of it's crazy that we even have a picture that without Josh Cantrell in the mix, because he's kind of the guy,
right?
And he's not right now.
Yeah, he's still there in the thick of things, but that's going to be one to put on your calendar, folks. Another thing to pay attention here at Georgia Premier Wrestling is Sid Ellington. He's a young man we saw, Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling. But you want to talk about, I don't even want to say down on his luck. I don't even know what to call it. But he has yet to win a match in Georgia Premier Wrestling. And what can that do for a wrestler's psyche when they just can't get over the hump?
The thing we've learned, and we learned it at Turnbuckle, we've learned it the kid doesn't have quit in him. So I think what we're going to see is how much heart he has to just keep plowing through week after week, month after month, show after show. He's got to get a win. Look, we experienced this, there was in another life, we experienced Mikey Whipwreck in ECW, that it took him, forever to get over that hump. So what we're hoping here is that Sid gets over that hump and then he has that career, like that Mikey Whipper, like, okay, click, and it works, and then he's off to the races because that fan base absolutely loves him in Jasper.
Yes, Sid is slowly becoming, fast becoming one of the most over wrestlers, most popular wrestlers in Georgia, and definitely somebody you need to keep your eye on. So again, that's October 19th there in Jasper, Georgia. Again, they've got a great facility, great setup there. So check out Georgia Premier Wrestling, follow them on Facebook, and we'll see Trevor Blackwell and Warden in this I Quit match. We'll see if one of them can walk away as the champion that night. Wrestlemerica was in Forsyth, Georgia, Saturday night. There's lots going on. One thing that happened is Friday is your heavyweight champion, and now he is one half of the tag team champions with CT Keys, who we've seen this happen one other time this year. CT Keys was the tag team champion of Southern Pride with Judias, who was the heavyweight champion. And I don't know if you caught this, fans. We sure are mentioning CT Keys a lot on this show.
We've joked about it, but in the past, like, he's starting to bounce around, seeing his name a lot of places or whatever. And we were talking about this show last week, and it's just like, he just looks like sketch out a wrestler, like he's gonna come out looking a little bit like CT Keys, because phenomenal look, the strength, the speed, the power, everything, total package. Look, when Fried Eddie was, needed the right hand, I'm not shocked that it was somebody, that he went out to with CT Keys.
Yes, this show Saturday night for Wrestlemerica was really about setting up Halloween Hell coming up next month. That is going to be a huge show. But this show Saturday night, you saw the return of Hunter James. We saw, again, new tag team champions. You saw Drew Adler and Ryan North teaming together. Ryan North doesn't wrestle a lot, normally does the manager's thing. They lost to Damage Inc. In a Beat the Clock challenge match. But you got this whole, the Michael Stevens, the Family Matters. You've got all this stuff building, and it's all leading into what's going to happen at Halloween Hell.
Yeah, listen, 8-man tag. They can go anywhere and everywhere in the building. Only rule is the pinfall submission has to take place in the ring. But listen, I'm always a big fan of, like, hey, because it's tough to have 8 guys in the ring at the same time. It just gets crowded really, really quick. I've seen shows at Wrestlemerica's building that go out into the crowd and they go out or whatever. They're super entertaining. I can't imagine what they're going to do with 8 guys, like, going all over, and, like, a lot of really good talents in this ring. So it's going to be chaos for sure.
Yes.
So absolutely, without a doubt, the tickets are already on sale. So go to their Facebook page, Wrestlemerica. There's a ticket link on there, and go ahead and get your tickets now, because you want to be, like, they have seats on the floor and then they have bleacher seats like on the court. You're going to want to be on the floor. Like, you're going to want the ringside seats for this one, because you want to be right up close and personal as these guys brawl all over the building. That's just my take.
If that didn't sell you, KJ Impala and Parker Lee at Halloween Hell, 2 out of 3 falls match for the Liberty Championship. That is going to be a good one. That's 2 young guys who are starting to get around different places, who are definitely, when I think about the future of Georgia wrestling, when I think about potential future in other places, Parker Lee and KJ Impala are right there at the top of that list.
Yeah, look, we thought they were both kind of friendly, maybe not friends, but friendly. Maybe they were friends, they thought. But they had a match, post-match, bam. Look, I don't know I guess Parker Lee wants championships more than friends. It's show business, not show friends, so maybe that's part of it. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right, 100%. Like those two, we talked about it last week when we were, promoting the show, that it was one that had a lot of potential to steal the show on it because of the youth and they both have stuff to prove to everybody, and I think that's kind of what they're using this as. Because think about it, they're kind of in that same, you know what I'm saying, that same time frame, time place. Like you're jockeying for position on the, and I think that's probably, even though I get it, the title's on the line, that Liberty Championship, there's probably a little more of that other thing involved in, like, no, I'm the guy, back and forth involved here.
That's right. It's great to see two young wrestlers get an opportunity like a 2 out of 3 falls match, because that's something different. And can't wait to see that one. Wrestlemerica, you can watch all their stuff on YouTube, I believe. So make sure you'll be able to watch this show very, very soon. Let's talk about Sunday before we get to AEW The Rebirth. Let's talk about WrestleForce. After 4 rainouts there at Pollywogs in Columbia, South Carolina, WrestleForce was able to present survival games. A couple things I just wanted to mention. You had the other guys winning the WrestleForce Tag Team Championship. That's Keith Mack and Stuart Snodgrass. They're all over the Carolinas. And then the big thing was survival games. You had Team Emery led by WrestleForce Heavyweight Champion Chase Emery, Jamal the Titan, Justin Kindred Allen, Logan Quindell, Silver Fox taking on Team Skyler, the Southern Savior John Skyler, Beer City Cruiser, Chris Vallow, Christopher Prince, Nathan Cross. Got down where Chase Emery won the match for his team, and then John Skyler cashed in his winner's choice contract, and now John Skyler, back-to-back weekends, has cashed in. He won the Pro Wrestling Union heavyweight title last week, the United Championship. Now he's won the WrestleForce Championship. He's a 5-time WrestleForce champion. And John Skyler, TNA's John Skyler, maybe coming back and putting people on notice that he might still be the king in South Carolina. And he's going to be one of the headliners when TNA comes to Spartanburg here in a couple of weeks.
John Skyler has slept on a lot, I think. He is I've seen him at multiple places, and I wished we saw him more, especially in Georgia, because I've seen him a few places here, and I'm always impressed. Of course, I catch him at WrestleCade. It seems like he's there every year.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm with you, dude. He's very old school, kind of got the build of old school, but sometimes I feel like we need that.
When I think of the fundamentals of professional wrestling, like the basics, John Skyler is one of those guys. When you watch his matches, he is on point. He is tight. He's just skilled. He's a good hand, as he would call himself, with his tag team partner. And again, it's always good to see WrestleForce out there. Bob Keller does a great job, and those are really good outdoor shows, especially when the weather cooperates. You and Myron head down to Atlanta, Georgia, for the rebirth of AWE. And this show was live streamed on Facebook. You can go back to watch it, Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment. What were your thoughts going into this show? And did you have a good time?
AWE, I always have a fun time when I'm there. I mean, look, I get it. It's probably not a selling point for you, but there's, full bar. I mean, there's liquor, there's beer, there's, on and on and on. The thing is we've always said some of the funnest shows we've ever gone to were some of those older AWE shows back in the day at the Opera nightclub. There was one we went to that was a kind of a back-to-back show that they had done with Evolve. It was their show, then Evolve right behind it. And it's a party environment. That's kind of what they want to do. But like, it's the rebirth for a reason. They were gone for a while. and they're back. They were under other umbrellas. Call it whatever you want to, right? They were Southern States Pro. They were that Combat one they did for a minute or whatever.
Right.
I can't remember.
Combat Pro or something.
Yeah. So here's what I said. And when I watched the AW, and you could watch it like you said on their Facebook. It'll be Facebook Live. I think some of the early stuff, though it wasn't live, but because I think there was a streaming issue. I can't remember off the top of my head. Because I honestly was paying attention to the matches, so I didn't, but I'd heard something to that effect. But go to their page, Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment, and yes, you could check out the show. And kind of I love the concept of, I do like it. People think sometimes we talk about shows like we don't like, oh, it's some guys on the undercards you don't know. No, I really like that. I love guys getting an opportunity on the undercard. That's a big thing.
Right.
Look, I'm going to say something that I say for the WWE. I say it about AEW. AEW is an exception. I'll say that for another show. But for most shows, I always say they're 2-3 match cards at best. A lot of them are one. You have a main event, and that's what everybody's there for. That was WWE back in the day, right? But then it becomes 2 or 3. Most of the time, it's 2. This is what you're going to see at AEW. This is what, and when I watched that card, I said, okay, you're going to get 2 matches.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to bring somebody in that is super talented. It's either going to be somebody that's a Southeast or a national named, independent wrestler. You're going to have 2 matches that I guarantee are going to deliver on that kind of thing. And then you're going to have some other matches where some guys are getting opportunities to grow, to get better. And, and I think that's a pretty fair assessment of what we saw. So I think going forward, that's the selling point. That's the plus for me. Hey, we're going to see Kenway versus Owen Knight, the Hierarchy versus the Carnies, and then we're going to see, and it's, by the way, they are using talented wrestlers to give those guys opportunity. Sal Renaro wrestled Hunter Drake. I know a lot of people are like, oh, they know who Hunter Drake. It was just kind of he came, he's kind of new into the area. So I'm like, yeah, but we got to see him wrestle Sal Renaro.
Right.
That's an opportunity for Hunter Drake.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be oh, well, who's Sal wrestling? No. Who's Hunter Drake getting to wrestle? Yes. That's the important part of AWE. Now, the challenge they face, and we talked about this a little bit off the air, it's your rebirth. You're coming back. You're new.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, brand loyalty is a thing with a lot of promotions. People hang in there because they have faith and trust in Todd Sexton and David Manders at Southern Fried. They stick it out for it because Gary and Dylan do a great. You know what I mean? There's these guys that they have a heart that, oh, this is the guy. We're loyal to Southern Honor. It's, to me, that's kind of ironic. I don't know that I always understand it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm loyal to the people because I know the people, but the brands, a lot of times I'm like, it's indie wrestling. It's some of the same wrestlers are over here. I don't understand why you're we discussed that when we talked about IWE. How do you sit there and say they're the best and these promotions suck? I'm like, no, they're good.
Right.
All being said, AWE has to literally show us. This kid's from Missouri. You got to show me, right? You have to show me you're consistently going to deliver and you're going to be here so the people get behind the brand. Some of the biggest brands in history have had rocky patches and they had to rebuild the trust into the brand. AWE, whoever the powers that be in there, that's the challenge. In 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, you've got to instill that, confidence in your fan base that you're hey, yeah, it's easy to say it. Now you got to do it. And I think that's the challenge to them.
One of the things I always try to do on commentary was I was trying to tell the backstory. I was trying to give a history of this is why we're in this match right here. Problem a lot of times with that is the fans at the live show aren't hearing the commentary in the moment. AWE's got to figure out how to move forward without drawing so much from their past. They've got to realize, do they have some diehard fans that know the lingo, that know the history of AWE, that know that these guys feuded and this person feuded, whatever. Yes. But for a majority, they've got to treat the wrestling fans in Georgia as if they don't know the history, and they've got to create something new. I think I'm looking at this 6-man scramble match they had, which I watched a little bit of. And I'm like you. I like going to a show and seeing people I don't know and asking myself, does this person have it? And that's why I like, especially, and I mentioned this to you, when you see someone come from the Carolinas who's a champion, multiple promotions in the Carolinas, come to Georgia, they're in an opening match because they got to prove themselves. And when you see these two different styles come together, it is such a fascinating thing to me because let me tell you, the training you would get at some schools in Georgia, not saying it's different, not saying it's better or worse, it's different than a lot of some of what you get in the Carolinas. So it's a fascinating thing to see. It's, I want to go back and watch the Kenway Owen Knight match, the Carnies and Murder and Joe. They fought all over the building, chair shots everywhere. But it looked like you guys had a good time. And again, I want to go back and watch this on the live stream.
Yeah, it was a blast. Check them out. Look, you do want to follow them on social media because they're not just running this building. They're also running, I think it's called Fowling Warehouse. They're running it off on Thursdays. So it's going to bounce around some of those dates. So absolutely it's Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment. Give them a follow on Facebook and you'll keep up with the dates for sure.
Thursday night, September 26th at the Fowling Warehouse. That looks like a pretty interesting card, pretty interesting thing. So yes, it was a full weekend. So that was this week's Indy Rewind. Now let's jump in to who won the week. Certainly wasn't Bryce Young or the Carolina Panthers. No. Bullpen Championship Wrestling, another show over 375. Every time we talk about them, Nick, we say, can they keep this up?
Right, and I know a lot of people are going to try to jump on this real quick because remember they were 400 or 500. People are going to go, the wheels are shaking. They're at 375. Well, folks, relax. There was a big rodeo in town. That was literally hits the numbers. We look at. I always say everybody's like, stop looking for excuses, look for the reasons. I think that's a good one because apparently the rodeo is a big thing there. I was not aware, but hey, there's lots of areas where that's the case. But by the way, if people are going like, oh my goodness, only 375 or 400 people, that's all you drew. Call some promotions around Georgia. There's some promotions that'd be willing to take that any show right now.
Yes, they would. If you told some promotions, hey, well, there's be some promotions, if you said they drew 375, they'd say for the year, that's how many they drew for the year. No, that's how many they drew for one show. Some more winners from last week, you and I included in this, and that is TCW fans, Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling fans. Great show, great food, and the Darby Allin meet and greet.
Yeah, I think the Darby Allin meet and greet is a really big reason why that's a candidate here. So we'll, but they just without a doubt they're right there in the mix.
Can we talked about this Friday night. There is such a cool vibe at Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling. You and Myron and I, we go to a lot of shows. We hang out. We get to go in the locker room sometimes, and we hang out after the show. But there's just this cool vibe because there's not like there's competition to get better, but there's not any I don't see the politicking because you don't have tag team champions and you don't have a heavyweight champion, and it's just guys having fun really and really it's a cutthroat business, but they're supporting one another, and they're there just to have fun, enjoy themselves, and get better.
Turnbuckle's a family. It's a nightmare family. I mean, there's a lot to that, and that's, here's, by the way, it's because again, one of their massive advantages of the infrastructure of that promotion. It is not conducive for you to try to go in there and be political.
No,
You will not be there long if that's your game.
No.
That's just not the way that show works. That show works totally different model. So that's, and it does show because they're all like, hey man, we're just, even like after the show, the wrestlers, when they're coming out, they're signing autographs, taking pictures with the fans. It's, dude, we're just here for fun. Like we're here to learn, and we're, to have a good time. And we talked about the Brady Booker point. That's kind of the why. It screams it, and that's kind of, again, why it's such a fun show.
Yeah. We could go on, but we'll move on. Fry Daddy and CT Keys winning those Wrestlemerica tag team titles. Now we saw in Southern Fried, CT Keys and Judas eventually kind of exploded or whatever. What do you think the future holds here in Wrestlemerica for Fry Daddy and CT Keys?
So today you're in the running for who won the week, but at the end it might not pan out well for Fry Daddy, because I wanted to bring that up. Judas and CT Keys, look, they were essentially both going forward. CT was after Judas' Southern Fried Championship.
Mm-hmm.
When they became the tag team champions.
Right.
And I'm sitting there in my head going like, is this deja vu for CT Keys, going like, all right, well, let's see. Fry Daddy better make sure whatever he's paying him, however he's trying to, whatever he's doing to keep him on his side, you might want to keep him happy, because we all know at the turn of a dime, CT Keys could turn and say, hey, I want that title. And Fry Daddy would be that'd be a rough day at the office for sure.
And when those two guys collide, when that happens, it's just, no matter when or where this is done, it's always entertaining to watch the cracks in the foundation and the team breaking apart. Who knows? It may not happen this time, but I wouldn't bet against it. Another winner for this week, Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment. Hey, you're back. You're doing things the way that you want to do them. There's no, it's been very clear from, Josh Wheeler's social media posts that in the past they kind of felt some restrictions, and the handcuffs are off now. And you guys got to see that firsthand yesterday.
So I was talking, I was talking to somebody saying I need to have a conversation with somebody else about a very similar thing to like this. What the rebirth, the return of AWE. Here's why I embrace it more than I did Southern States Pro.
Mm-hmm.
I have a philosophy when we talk about the podcast or we talk about just life in general. Like, if I'm going to succeed or fail, let's do it my way. Because then that way, if I fail, I don't go, man, if I'd have done it this way like I wanted to, it might would have worked. No, you're going to know. This is AWE's opportunity. We talked about rebuilding the trust and the brand loyalty and all that stuff. This is their opportunity to go, hey, this is who we are. Because here's the thing. I don't know how else to put this, right? We were like, hey, does this work? It's a fair question. I'm not saying it doesn't. It's a fair question to go, does this style still work in Atlanta? Well, guess what, folks? We're going to find out, because they're going to do it their way. They're going to succeed or they're going to fail their way. AWE will be AWE. Right. I not only like that, I appreciate that from a business standpoint of be who you are. Because doing something that's not you, if you win, think about it. If you succeed, are you happy because you didn't do it your way? Maybe, maybe not. If you fail, I guarantee you're not happy when you fail and it wasn't who you are. And I think there might be a little bit of that taste from Southern States Pro, and that's why we're looking at this. So that's why do they win the week? Because, hey, this is who we are. We are AWE. That's what they're saying.
Yes, and it's very clear from the younger talent that was on that show looking for an opportunity that there is still an understanding and appreciation that this is the place where you get your name on the map.
Mhm.
And we need lots more places like that around Georgia and the Southeast. Some more winners: Zach Edwards, Anthony Andrews, Drew Adler, and Sauronara for their feats Saturday night. Won the stipulation, the right to name the situation at Halloween Hell, and that is that fall. Anything goes, but the fall has to take place in the ring, and we're going to see if Family Matters can overcome all of that. But that is going to be a fantastic match to behold. Just to see what they pull out and just see who comes out on top there.
Yeah, to win, to make that match wreckage at the rec center, to make those rules be cut. Because here's the thing, I think the other plus of it is like, hey, all the players are out here. It's not going to be a tag match where Family Matters has somebody run out and interfere. It's like, nope, we got them all out here. We got them man 4-4. The odds are, we're good. Nothing's going to slip through the cracks. That's why you win the week, right? That's why you make your case for winning the week, because now you're like, now going forward, we can end this because we finally leveled the playing field. And after month after month after month of this story, this playing out, that's why it's a huge thing. It's like winning a champion. Now, it's like winning a title match, a la Joe Black last week. Now you got to go through and deliver, and you got to win this match to finish it off. And that's, I think, then you win that match, then you're right back in the mix for who won the week again, right? Because now you're finishing them off.
That's right. That's right. Before we get to our last story of the week, some breaking news just came across my desk here via Facebook, and that is Phoenix Wrestling Experience has announced they have re-upped with Savannah River Brewing Company there in Augusta for the 2025 season. Phoenix, debuted this year. They've had a great partnership there with the brewery running those Thursday night shows, and they will be back in 2025. So kudos to Cowboy James Hunter and their whole crew, and they're going to be selling those season passes again. They've done some really innovative things, and they've had a very successful first year. And as we know, wrestling in Augusta has gotten a little crowded this year.
Yes, and I think so. It's going to be. Look, there are other places we talked about that are a little even more crowded. But them being in there, I think it's kind of cool that they have kind of they're on a different night. It's a different.
Yes.
Would you make the case that they're a little bit of a different crowd? I don't know. Yeah,
100%. I think they are drawing. I think they're drawing a different crowd. I think from seeing some of the pictures, they're drawing. I think they picked up some non-wrestling fans. I think they picked up some people. They book Augusta area wrestlers, and so there's some friends and family that come in there. They're very proud of the fact that, hey, we're a brewery show, but they're also pretty kid friendly, and they embrace that. They want to be a place where kids can come and enjoy wrestling, and that's been interesting and really fascinating to see the number of kids out at a wrestling show on a Thursday night. So they're doing something right, and with the Phoenix Wrestling Dojo opening up with Anthony Henry and Drew Adler as the trainers, things are definitely looking up for Phoenix Wrestling Experience.
Yeah, kudos to them, man. I mean, I'm glad because there was a part of me that had slight concerns with brewery shows, in 2025. Could they maintain and sustain that momentum and keep the buildings happy and things like that? So I think there's going to be some that do, some that don't, and I'm curious to see who they are and how they play out over 2025.
So let's keep the conversation in Augusta. This upcoming weekend, IWE presents the program. I know you and Myron are going to talk about the entire card on your show this week. Here's what you and I wanted to talk about. Back in January, we had this big War Games match. Hierarchy versus Team IWE. Control of the company. It didn't take long. Like James Caleb Kitchens had been there less than a year, that Tim Blackman puts his company on the line. And in January, the Hierarchy won, Kitchens won control of the company. And so if you're telling me this is the guy that controls your company, then your social media needs to match that. And it appears to you and I, as we are following IWE, that it's still Tim Blackman who's running IWE.
Listen, let's backpedal up a little bit and say this. I'm not backpedaling in what I'm about to say. I'm backpedaling and saying the card looks really good. Like
Yes.
Yes. I like everything about what I see on the card or whatever. There's been a lot in the last. Look, there was a photo leaked at a WWE Raw where Punk and McIntyre were kind of out there talking through their spot, their segment or whatever.
Correct.
And the internet went bananas and said, "Oh my God, oh blah blah blah, kayfabe's dead, kayfabe's dead." That's kind of where we started on this. Like, okay, I got it,
Right.
but it's like, so this is not like me saying I don't like the promotion, I don't like the card.
Right.
There's a facet of the business that I'm going to say, if it is, like I always say, if Kitchens, is the owner, he runs the company, he's got control of the company, then yes. Look, by the way, I'll go back even a step a little bit further before that. We made the comment of, why is Josh Fields promoting ticket sales? Why? And I get it. They're like, does the story say that he has control of it, but does Tim still make money from it? So if Tim makes money from it, okay, then I understand why he's promoting ticket sales. That would make sense. But if it's not his company anymore, like, he wants it back, so he should be coming back as an outsider trying to get in versus promoting ticket sales. Or look, the one that finally, I think, like the post that finally said, okay, it just crossed over to the little bit too far for me. And again, it's just for me. By the way, let's pause button. There's probably a ton of Augusta fans who don't even care.
Right.
Doesn't matter. And by the way, that's fine.
Yes.
I'm saying if you're, a great booker, a great storyteller, to me, it's always the little details that matter.
Right.
I'll probably get a phone call for this, and I'll go like, and look, not in a bad way, because I'm just pointing out, why did Tim Blackman apparently make a stipulation for a 3-way match for the women if it's not his company?
Correct.
That should come from someone in the hierarchy, whether anybody involved. Because, by the way, we mentioned this. Why is the hierarchy not completely running rampant across the board, all the matches a la the NWO? If they owned it, that's what it would basically, I would think it would be. So that's our only thing. It's like, hey, is it Tim Blackman's company and he's adding stipulations, selling tickets or not? If it's not, then, fix it. That's just my opinion. And it's just, like I said, if kayfabe doesn't matter, then why did we do this angle to begin with? I think that was the question.
Yes. They did this tremendous angle, kind of an invasion, had the War Games match, and they've done things since then involving family members. And I agree with you, is if you cannot put in one post, I'm coming to take my company back, and then,
correct,
oh, here's the stipulation. Those two things cannot coexist in the universe together. If you need to get your company back, you can't be making the stipulations for matches. And I think, again, people in Augusta may not care. Maybe we shouldn't care.
No, listen, I want to preface with that. Honestly, I don't think most people care. That's not why this is even a conversation. It wouldn't stop me from buying a ticket.
Right.
It wouldn't stop me going to see the show. It wouldn't stop any of those things. Then why do you bring it up? Because we also talk about things where, like, hey, look, they bang their drum. Their promotion of the year, their, all these things, like, hey, by the way, if this was your story and it drug out all year, so you could scrap any booker of the year if you're not. Like, I don't even think you're even in the running if that's what you were chasing with this. If kayfabe matters to you, well,
Yes.
and Booker of the Year, it totally should matter, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't
Right.
mean you can't be promotion of the year. It doesn't mean you can't have match of the year. It doesn't any of those things. It's just more, us pointing out the silly things wrestling podcasts cover. Like, this is it. Like,
Yes.
literally, this is it. It's just two idiots talking about it, I always like to say. So it's nothing personal, but I think it's a valid point.
Well, and even in the last couple of days, they announced the October show at the Elevation Arena is it's IWE versus Ace. Well, if Kitchens controls the company, would he not say,
It's in
all
the
right,
hierarchy.
it's hierarchy versus Ace? Like, if it seems like Kitchens' whole thing was destroying IWE or
Right.
so again, it's like, we will be the first to admit, because we do this podcast, we think about this much more than everybody else. And so that's on us. That's on us for just thinking. The bottom line is, and again, you guys talk about it, this looks like a really good show. Huck's career is on the line. Again, if you were a member of Patreon, you would have gotten almost a full-length episode on retirement matches and Joe and Huck. But if you're in the Augusta area, holy cow, you've got a lot of wrestling to get to. And the first show you need to get to will be this Saturday night in Augusta at the American Legion. It's IWE presenting the program. And again, that's, we just want to see consistency. I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah, it wasn't anything negative in the lead. I mean, well, maybe could be perceived that way, but that's kind of what we talked about. We had said we're going to do more of this, as far as the Patreon stuff goes. We're going to try to deep dive into that. But I thought these are kind of the things we're like, hey, we'll probably put some of this behind the paywall. We'll probably put some on our show. It's time to maybe like, hey, we nitpick. There's a show that I watch and listen to called The Rewatchables about movies, and it's called Picking Nits. Wrestling shows are nothing more than television movie, like they're just cinema.
Yeah.
They're in the ring.
Yes.
And I can sit there and say, like, look, I can absolutely love them. The name of the movie or the name of the podcast is The Rewatchables because it's movies you love to rewatch over and over and over. Yet there's an entire segment on it called Picking Nits, and maybe that's what we're going to steal the title and we're going to put it in here where we pick on something that goes, okay, that just doesn't make sense.
Right.
Doesn't mean we don't like the booker. Doesn't we like
Right.
promoter, promotions, the matches, the card, etc. It just means like, hey, this one thing kind of didn't make sense.
There was a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, there was something, we mentioned something, and it got explained to us, and it was like, oh. And I love that. Not necessarily being wrong, but I love it when there's a dot that I haven't connected. And that may be the case here, that there's a dot we haven't connected.
Sure.
And maybe we'll get smartened up. And,
You know what that means? That's why it's important you go to the Augusta show and watch the show and see what happens, because something's probably going to happen that explains it. We hope. That's the funny part. We don't like being wrong. We hope we're wrong because
Yes.
they do something that goes, oh, or by the way, you want to know here's the craziest thing I said to a promoter. Or we say something and then you go, oh, I didn't think of that, and you fix that loophole.
Yes. We want to help you fix your loopholes. And fans, if you want to hear more about how we're fixing all the loopholes in professional wrestling and the Marvel Universe, you got to go patreon.com/tappedoutpod. Become a member today. If you became a member right now, you could see the full video of the incident Saturday night there in Buford, Georgia, with Nick and Jack Jameson. Also, you can become a member at YouTube. But even if you don't become a member, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, go through all of our videos right now, hit that like button, hit that bell to get all the notifications. And Any heads up as you and Myron record this week? Any things our
Well,
fans can look forward to?
Here's the thing. So we debuted the new segment this week, the This or That. If you were a paid member on YouTube or YouTube or at Patreon, either one, we had one that was super fun. It's going to air in a couple weeks. It's not even going to be. It's going to maybe longer. It may be 3 or 4 weeks because we recorded 5?
Yes.
5 of those, and we're going to continue to do some of those and put those out there. But we had one that was super fun with AEW, Ring of Honor, Superstar, win or lose, Bad News and Tattoos, Carly Bravo. It went like this segment's supposed to be 2 or 3 minutes. We went like 6 with
Yes.
Carly Bravo. And so that is behind the paywall now. Like it's going to be public at some point. Not
Yes.
telling you when. It was the last one we cut, so I'm going to try to be fair to all of the parties involved. But it is available now. Patreon.com/tappedoutpod or at YouTube, at tappedoutpod.com. That's right, tappedoutpod.com. Makes it super simple to find and sign up for it. And it is at the $5 level or higher right now.
And I would be remiss if I did not say thanks to all the folks who participated in that, but also thanks to all the people at Turnbuckle. Shout out to the Dusty Rhodes Foundation. We'll be talking about that a little bit more. They just rolled the red carpet out for us, make us feel very welcome. And I think that's one of the reasons that it's such a fun show is they've done it. They make us feel like part of the family, and that's a really cool thing.
What QT, Scott, Scott in particular goes out of his way to make sure we're taken
Yes.
care of, and I can't thank him enough. His wife as well. She kind of helps out, gets to make sure we're good. So I can't thank them enough. But yeah, it's and it's look, we appreciate it. I always tell somebody like it is not as Carly Bravo's words were. It is not lost on us that when somebody kind of goes out of their way to welcome us in, that we appreciate that. And it's look, somebody's like, could it skew? Does it skew your opinion slightly? Yeah, it probably does. Like because we're honest and we're not trying to say like. No, our journalistic integrity will not allow us. Okay, no, that's not 100% factual. But at the same time, like, dude, you'll see look, I think this is why you're going to need to be on Patreon. Things are going to come over time where, like, look, we're going to be, look, there are things, by the way, we are critical of Southern Fried. We are critical of Southern Honor.
Yes.
Most of the time, those things are said to people, individuals, face to face. It's just the easier thing to do in my opinion. But going forward, I think some more of that, and I think it's like you said, it's never in. I don't know it's never in a manner to like harm. It's more to like, hey, I just don't understand. Like, help us understand that kind of scenario. But yeah, interviews, all that kind of stuff, more and more. And I'm excited. Look, I'm not going to tell them what it is. But at the end, we were talking to this certain person, and they were like, hey, talking about maybe doing some content and sending it to us. They're like, would that be okay? We're like, yeah, you could do that. You could do that. We're down with that. Absolutely. So hopefully some of that stuff plays out as well. But man, look, you've got to work. I've got to work. We got a whole bunch of stuff. So I don't want to keep us running over too much longer.
Listen, I just have so much fun doing this show. Actually getting my new office set up, kind of as a podcast studio. So I'll be doing some other podcasts in here, but fans, we're just so grateful for your support. We're so grateful for the opportunity we get to cover indie wrestling. Are you serious? Like, it is not a bad gig if you can get it. So thanks for your support of the Tapped In Indie Wrestling Podcast. For Nick McDaniel, this is Heath Mulliken, and we will see you at the matches.